What is going on, everybody? Happy New Year. My name is Dan Parker. I'm joined by my good friend, Bern McGovern. And today we are talking about what is going on in the real estate market. And here's the thing. It's been a really weird couple of years. First, we had COVID. Then we had housing prices going up like crazy. It was an insane seller's market. It was really hard for buyers to buy homes. And then interest rates shot up. Home values came down around 10%. And right when we think we understand what's going on with the market, things start to change once again. So that's what we're seeing right now. Bern, how you doing today, my man? Oh, I can't hear you. What happened to your microphone, man? We were chatting just a couple of seconds ago.
Switching.
All right. Are we good? Are we live?
Hello, can you hear me now?
So yeah, what is your take? What's going on right now?
So what am I seeing out here? Well, I don't know what I'm seeing, to be honest, just because the end of last year, like this last November, December, was about as quiet as it can be in San Diego as far as the San Diego housing market's gone. But I feel like even just in these first 10 days of January, I'm not sure if you're seeing this because we haven't really talked about this ahead of time, but it just seems busier than it has been in the last 2 months combined in these first 10 days. So I'm not sure if that's what you're seeing as well.
I am seeing the same thing. And absolutely, it's always interesting to talk to you about these things. We haven't done this for a while, so it's interesting to hear your perspective. I know what I'm seeing. It's nice that is kind of being validated. But we are going to get into that a little bit more here later on as well. So
some great photos
today
right there.
Yeah, so today, the San Diego 2023 outlook, here's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So what the experts are saying, what the data is that's out there, what are the headlines in the newspapers, what are we personally seeing, you and me, with boots on the ground. And then we're going to add in where the top neighborhoods that we think are going to see the highest appreciation in value in 2023, along with what are some of the best developments that are coming out in 2023 as well. Let us know or drop your questions in the chat. We always, I'm trying out all these new different angles here. Drop your questions into the chat. We always like to start off by knowing, where are you tuning in from? We get people usually from all over the place, from all over the country, sometimes in Canada and even in other countries as well. So let us know where you are tuning in from. And if you wouldn't mind, let us know your predictions. We know what we're going to say. We know what we're seeing out there. But what do you think is happening out there with the market? Do you think that the housing market is about to crash? If so, throw crash into the comment section. Or if you think that it's just going to be kind of neutral, maybe go up a little bit, write neutral in the comment section as well. Let's hear from you guys and see what's going on out there.
I love the new graphics, by the way, Dan. We're very sharp. So well played.
New year, new me, trying out some new things.
Dan,
by the way, Bern, your microphone isn't quite as sharp as it was right before we started. I think you might have.
Okay, well, just keep going and I'll fix it.
All right, so we are going to keep going here. So let us know your predictions. Just starting off, if you have not joined us before, this is me. This is my channel. I put out videos weekly about living your best life here in San Diego, what's coming soon, what news is out there, and kind of real estate insider tips as well. So if you wouldn't mind, give us a like, give us a subscribe. All those things really, really help at the end of the day. So we'd appreciate that. And also, look, we got my good friend Bern McGovern and his awesome channel, Living in San Diego. I would say the second best channel about living in San Diego, but darn good. But
I know, Jaycation number one for sure. Right.
It never gets old.
I use that same joke every time.
So let's start off by saying or talking about, what are the experts saying right now? What are they saying about the market? Bern, I'm going to ask you, what are you seeing as far as news articles, data? What are you seeing out there? What are some of the top issues and challenges that people are talking about?
Well, what I'm seeing is what I'm reading is different than what I'm kind of seeing, at least in this first 10 days of the year. I mean, granted, we're still very early on in the year and things, maybe people have just been sitting on the sidelines for the last 4 to 6 months. Like, okay, we're tired of waiting. Interest rates are kind of settling in around a certain, that 6%-ish number. And now they're just going to move forward regardless of what the interest rates are. And maybe they can refinance 6 months to a year to 2 years from now. A lot of people think the market is going to be pretty slow the first part of this year, like maybe even 3/4 of the year. And then by the end of 2023, it might start to pick up again then. But everyone's kind of expecting this next 6 months to be relatively slow, from what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe calculation. I also think, and again, we're going to get into this later, but what we're seeing right now is maybe even going against that a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see there. We do have Julian from Arizona, Felix tuning in from San Diego,
Felix the cat.
Jesse Peters from Winnipeg, Canada.
Jesse.
What is going on, my friend?
What's up, man?
Let's see. Felix thinks the market is going to be neutral. Julian thinks it's going to be funny, I guess. And then we have some questions popping in. So keep those questions coming. We are definitely going to get to all your guys' questions here. I agree with you, Bern. It seems like it's not going to be anything crazy over the next couple of months. I think you and I can both agree on that prediction. The housing average, the median value of homes has come down around 10% since May of last year. Now it went up about 12% the 6 months before that. So year over year, we are still up. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, people have very short memory, so they don't really care that it's up year over year. They just care that it's down from 6 months ago, essentially. So they're just like, what's going to help for them in the near future rather than what's happened in the past, it sounds like. So
exactly. So some issues, and I was asking you, what are some of the main things that you're hearing out there? What are some of the major headlines? And the issues that we are coming up against right now are going to be higher interest rates, lack of homes, lack of demand. What's interesting is the interest rates cause a lack of demand and the lack of homes. So it actually had an effect on both because people are sitting on a 3% interest rate. And even though they want to move, they're like, why would I buy something else with a 7% interest rate or 6.5% interest rate and spend hundreds, if not thousands of extra dollars every single month? But high interest rates, lack of homes, lack of demand, and a pending recession. These are the main things that we're hearing out there. One thing that I've noticed, Bern, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but there are fewer negative headlines out there. When I was researching for this video, usually my phone is going off like crazy with notifications for headlines about the market crashing, the bubble bursting, recession coming. I have not seen any of that in the last.
Do you think less people are believing that it's going to crash? I mean, we have had places have corrected here, at least in San Diego. I don't follow like as much the entire country as we do in San Diego, but like I've done videos on this before, so have you. Like prices have come down 15%, almost 20% in some neighborhoods. So yeah, and people think it's going to be like another 15% on top of it, which I just don't see it happening. I think the worst of the drops have occurred. I think could it drop another 5% in certain areas that went up a ton during the last 2 years? Possible, but I just don't see another 15, 20, 30% of what some people are. I don't know. Some people are even like hoping for it. It sounds like. So.
Well, we've been getting that for the length of our channels, right? People wishing, hoping, expecting the market to crash. Whether we're seeing that right now or not, well, we haven't seen that so far. We have seen prices come down a little bit. It's gonna be really telling what's going to happen over these next couple of months. But I can show you here. So just as far as like news headlines, here's one. I was trying to look for some negative, some crazy, some buzzworthy headlines. And this was like the first one that came up. I was so surprised. Consumer confidence in housing finally rises thanks to falling home prices. This is from CNBC. And specifically what they're saying on here is mortgage rates are, let's zoom this in a little bit. Mortgage rates are still twice what they were a year ago, but home prices have been falling since June. And that's making consumers feel better about what had been an overheated, highly competitive housing market. The share of respondents saying now is a good time to buy a home was still low, just at 21%, but up from 16% in October. The share saying now is a bad time has decreased. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot from 16 to 21%, but that's a 25% increase in the amount of people saying that it's a good time to buy right now. And based on everything that's going on in this market, for that to happen, I think is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think just to go back a little bit too, I think one of the reasons prices probably didn't dip a little bit more is because there was like pretty much zero inventory on the market, like especially from like end of October through December. Yeah. There was like, I know where I live, like off the 56, there was in my neighborhood, there were 0 homes. And in the whole zip code, I think there was like 3. So I think that will start, even this first week of the year, I feel like I've seen more houses hit the market than I had the whole months of December and November. So, I think that's kind of interesting. And I've also seen more multiple offers in this first 10 days that I had not seen in any month. We were about to put offers on condos in downtown, like Little Italy area. houses were on the market for like 60 days. I'm like, oh, this is great. We'll get it for under asking. And then we go in, oh, sorry, we just accepted an offer. And then another one hit the market. I'm like, oh, we have 7 offers on it. I go, what just happened? I mean, what happened to all the 1 to 0 offers on these properties? Now I'm seeing 7+. Granted, I think that one that had 7 offers was well under market value. So people still try to play that, list it way low and get a lot of offers too. So
yeah, I mean, we're seeing all those different things. I think there were a lot of buyers sitting on the market that are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what's going on, and now they're starting to get confidence in what's happening in the market, which is exactly what it was saying in that past article. I definitely needed to just note here that Julian said he was laughing when I said your channel was second best mine. Thank you. I appreciate somebody enjoying my dad jokes, because that is really important to me. Julian thinks it's going to be neutral market. North County, born and raised. Christopher saying trying to buy a place so he won't have to leave. Best of luck with that, my friend. And Tristan tuning in from Facebook, San Diego, or I'm sorry, South Dakota in the house. The second best SD out there.
If anybody's moving to South Dakota, reach out to Tristan.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a great YouTube channel. Highly recommend. I was on there a couple of months ago. Lindy is saying he's living in Virginia Beach and moving to San Diego in March. What are the safest and best neighborhoods for families with young kids? Otay Ranch. So we're going to get into neighborhoods later on in this video. Just full disclosure, we have to be a little bit careful when we say, here's what I think is the best neighborhood for a family, because we are restricted due to fair housing laws. There are really good resources out there. Niche.com is one of them. If you can go on to, one of the few things I like about Redfin is you can actually go on to Redfin and search based on school ratings. So it's not a perfect system, but it links up with greatschools.org, and it gives you somewhat of an idea of what the schools are like in the area. Any other thoughts on that, Bern?
No, I mean, we always have to be a little careful because we're not allowed to say what area is safe and what areas are not safe. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of families move to the North County neighborhoods, and a lot of families go toward, like the Chula Vistas areas as well too. But yeah, it kind of just depends on what you're looking for.
And your budget.
And your budget. Not technically, usually when there's good schools around there usually is more families. Just take that for a grain of salt. Like Poway Unified School District, San Dieguito School District, or the Chula Vista, the school district down in Chula Vista. All good options. Carlsbad, South or San Marcos, all have pretty good schools rated, at least according to Great Schools.
Great info there. Hopefully that helps. And obviously, Lindy, unfortunately, my face keeps freezing. Hopefully you can hear me. It is.
I thought you were just being very stoic on there. I didn't know.
I might just leave that one up. Why not? So, Lindy, hopefully that's helpful. You can always reach out to Bern or myself for a little bit more detailed analysis for you. Dejas, am I saying that right? Says, or he's asking, do you think now is a good time for VA loans? And he is tuning in from San Diego. What do you think there, Bern?
I think it's a much better time for VA. I mean, it's always a good time for VA loans, but I feel like when the market was so hot, it was hard for like VA loans and like FHA loans to get accepted because there's people with like huge down payments or all cash offers. Was challenging. I think right now it's a much easier time to get an offer accepted with VA loans. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Is it's always a good time to utilize a VA loan. It is an incredible asset that you have for serving our country, and it's and San Diego is a great place to utilize that. The biggest thing was this time last year, it was near impossible to get your offer accepted. I mean, it wasn't from my perspective, a lot of times it wasn't necessarily the loan. It was the fact that a lot of people utilizing that loan literally had zero money to put down. And so that makes it a riskier investment from the seller's perspective if you need to make up for an appraisal and different things like that.
Yeah, I think the main issue was the appraisal. So if the appraisal came in lower than what you guys offered on the house, then you can't make up the difference. Then they have to put it back on the market and go to the next person. So that was usually the challenge. In this market, it's definitely been easier with lower down payments type loans.
Yeah, the loan itself is fantastic. I highly recommend if you have access to that. Heck yeah, use it. It is your right. You should absolutely use it at some point. All right, so
agreed.
let's get back to the regularly scheduled program. Now, we're talking about some of the main issues that we're seeing in the headlines and in the market and what's happening with the market. And this is a website from Optimal Blue, and this is to help figure out where mortgage interest rates are currently. And yes, mortgage interest rates shot up last year from the beginning of the year, basically from 3%, peaked out around 7, even a little bit over 7%. This is what we've seen over the last 3 months. And this is, I think, a big part of the reason why consumer confidence has spiked is because the rates have come down a little bit. If you look back in November of 2022, not too long ago, there were some really great reports, some CPI data that was showing that we're starting to curb inflation. And once we had that information for 2 months in a row, then you can see that's exactly when it shot down on this chart. And because of that, it seems like it's not only flatlined, it seems like it's maybe even starting to come down a little bit. Now, I don't know, and I don't know what you think, Bern, but nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 months when it comes to mortgage interest rates. But I think there's a fairly good consensus that over the next 12 months, rates are going to be lower than they are right now.
Yeah, I think this is just a guess, just based on what I've seen and just history in general. I think they're going to be relatively flat from now until through the summer. I think they're going to float around where they are right now. Maybe they'll go down a quarter, maybe they'll go up a quarter. And then by the end of the year, we might see them, or the beginning of next year, we could see them going into like the low 5s, maybe in the high 4s. Granted, it kind of depends on what the hell the economy does, because they are basically trying to stall the economy a little bit by raising these rates. But
yeah,
it's not really stalling it enough for it to make a big. I mean, it's definitely helping with inflation, but I think they they almost want unemployment to rise before they start to bring down rates again. And no one really wants. I don't want unemployment to go down, because I don't want people to lose their jobs and that sort of thing too. So, but my guess is interest rates will hover right around where the number is now for a lot of the year this year.
Well, and think of it this way too. If we get into a recession type scenario and inflation is fairly wiped out, then the government has this opportunity to lower the Fed funds rate so that they can help stimulate the economy. So that is the other end of this.
That's the big weapon in their arsenal to help stimulate the economy and lowering the interest rate, which is what they did during the pandemic. So
exactly,
very, very, very low levels.
So when everyone's talking about recession, it doesn't necessarily mean home prices are going to come down. In fact, if you look throughout history in California, it's been about 75% of the time when there was a recession that in California, home prices actually rose over the course of the recession.
Mm-hmm.
So just really interesting to take a look back in history and see what happened. This is, I think this is very, very interesting and very, very telling. We talk a lot about supply, and we talk a lot about demand and how that is affecting everything. But this chart here is really cool because it's actually overlaying both. And let's see that maybe this is a little bit better of a chart with our heads on it. So this in dark blue in the front is showing demand. How many homes are going pending or accepting offers? In the background in light blue is supply. How many homes are there for sale currently? And this is going from you probably can't see it too well, but the far left is 2012. The far right is the end of 2022. So you have a 12-year spread here. And what you can see is, I wish that I could kind of point on this, but essentially right at the beginning of COVID, in the beginning of 2020, the housing market just kind of flipped. And we went from what is typically a very healthy market where you have more homes available than homes going under contract. And it went the other way. It went to the point where there were more homes being sold than new homes coming on the market by a fairly large margin. And this just gives a lot of perspective over the course of the years, because we know from 2012 and 2013 all the way to today, there hasn't really been very many periods where it has been a buyer's market. It's mostly been a seller's market during that whole time. And you can see how supply and demand have interacted with each other and how they've influenced one another. Now, over the last 6 months, when a lot of people have been screaming from the rooftops that the market is going to crash, the bubble's going to pop, just take a look at the very far right of this chart. Does that not look exactly or close enough a smaller version of where it's been from 2013 all the way until about the beginning of 2020?
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkably similar.
Yeah, and there's very few things that you can look at that are going to be as significant as supply and demand when you're trying to figure out what's going on with the market. So that is exactly what the experts are saying. There's some headlines. There's some data for you guys. Let's keep this thing rolling here. Drop your questions into the chat. Bern and I are going to answer some of these live here. We have a couple more coming in. Evan says, coming into Expo West Anaheim in early March, I can hop on the Amtrak and get directly down to Encinitas, Carlsbad. Correct? Absolutely, you can. I technically don't know how far north it goes. You can, right? I know it definitely goes up to Irvine.
Yeah, it goes up to. You mean the coaster? Are we talking about?
The Amtrak goes north of Oceanside,
Yeah.
down to Oceanside, and then the coaster goes from Oceanside to downtown San Diego.
Yeah, well, then you can also take it up to Irvine. You can take it to Los Angeles. You can take it as far as Santa Barbara too, as well.
Yeah, so I think there is a transfer. I think in Oceanside you have to get off and then transfer onto the coaster, but it's all part of the same.
Yeah, it's all part of the same thing. So, but yeah, you can. I think there's a stop right at the Anaheim. I've actually never taken it there, but at where the Anaheim Mighty Ducks play.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I think someone told me you could do it. I've done, so that's if you ever want to go to a Ducks game.
The problem is I grew up in Orange County and I have very little interest to go there anymore. I love being in San Diego, so it's very rare I go north, but I do absolutely use the coaster from Encinitas to go downtown to Padres game, or we took it up to Oceanside the other day, which was really a lot of fun. Misha said,
take you to take the train from down to like a Padre game from.
It's not too much different from driving. I mean, no traffic, it's about the same. But then with traffic and with parking for Padres game especially if you don't get your parking ticket ahead of time, then parking alone could take 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
true.
It basically takes about half an hour to get from, I believe about half an hour, maybe 35 minutes to get from Encinitas down to downtown San Diego.
Yeah, makes sense.
Misha agrees. He works with a lot of VA buyers out in Warner Robins, Georgia, which has a big Air Force base. If you guys are ever out in if you're ever moving out to Warner Robins, check out Misha Thompson. He has another incredible YouTube channel. We got a lot of real.
Or if you even know where Warner Robins is, which I did not. Okay, Misha.
It's in Georgia. He's in Georgia.
I knew that.
All right, Dejas. Now I'm forgetting how it says his name. Dejas. He said I said it right. Hopefully,
I think that's how you said it the first time. So I think you're right.
Julian said, "Thanks for the question, Dejas. I was going to ask the same thing. Don't remember what that was. Oh, is now a good time for VA loans? Okay, cool. Yep. So we have a couple of potential VA buyers here in the house today. You're welcome for answering. Best spot for single person in their 30s seeking a walkable location. Okay, cool. Bern?
I could think of a few places. I would say Pacific Beach, Little Italy, North Park, South Park. It's probably my top 4.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. In San Diego, we're actually fairly limited on the number and the quantity of walkable communities. And essentially, it's going to be anywhere on the coast. Ooh, I froze at a very good time. That one.
Now you're closing your eyes. So.
Dang, all right. What tech experts do we have in the chat? Give me your information. I need to Zoom with you after to figure out what the heck is happening with my camera here. So essentially, we have all the coastal communities, and then we have the areas surrounding Balboa Park, which is close to downtown. So you have downtown San Diego. You have Little Italy, North Park, South Park, University Heights, Normal Heights, Hillcrest, Bankers Hill. All of those communities surrounding Balboa Park would probably fit in your criteria. It's just which the neighborhoods all have a little bit of a different feel. So which one is more your vibe?
Yep, agreed.
Paige in the house. What's going on, Paige?
Hey, long time no talk.
That's right. All right. Peace, harmony in life. How will AI change the real estate industry and investing in the next coming years? Ooh, coming in hot with a big question. Bern, you answer this, and I'm gonna throw this question in the chat GPT and see what it says.
I have no idea how it's going to change it, but hopefully it changes it for the better. Maybe it'll make it easier to do real estate investing, or it'll make it more difficult because it'll be wrong. So I wish I knew the answer, but I don't know the answer to that.
Well, here's the thing. Chat GPT is so popular. For the first time ever, I tried to go on their site and they are at capacity. So I don't have a chat answer for you, or an AI answer for you. How will it change your real estate industry? I think what is interesting is for what Bern and I do is we create a lot of content. We give a lot of answers about moving to our areas. And it is really interesting that I could technically write a video topic or blog topic idea into these programs, and it can crank out an answer. Now, it's not 100% accurate, but it's getting pretty darn close and sounding a lot like a human. So the information that's out there, I think, is it's going to start to become unrecognizable from an AI versus a human, which is kind of scary and interesting.
Yeah, I've been playing with it, just trying to, we're trying to, we put out a lot of videos, and we're always trying to think of new ideas to put out there for people. So I've tried it, and it, kind of gets you started. Doesn't like do it for you completely sometimes, but gives you a few ideas that you might not have thought of when I was trying to do like a top 10 beaches in San Diego or whatever you want to do. So
yeah, it's really wild, and it's so new. Like, I was using Jasper last year,
which did not work very well in my opinion, but
yeah, I just had a hard time with it. But I think this Chat GPT is changing the game. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's not going to be free for long. They could charge a lot of money for that program. But it's also scary to think about, like, kids at school, who's writing an essay anymore when they can literally throw it into that program. So it is a little scary to think of, like, what will the future hold? Is that going to be the new calculator? That's just going to change everything. So
I'm pretty sure this is how Skynet started on Terminator.
I know. Yeah, this is absolutely how Skynet started. All right, let's get back to this here. So thank you for dropping your questions in the chat. We went through some Q&A. Now it's time, Bern. I'm just very, very happy.
Why do you always use that photo? Why do you always pick that photo when I put it on the thing?
Because just look at how excited and interested you look.
I feel like I look shocked. I'm not sure, but
okay.
Continue.
So everyone in the chat, you can vote right now. Put a 1 if I should use this again, or if I should never use this headshot of Bern ever again. A 1. What did I say? A 1 if I should or shouldn't. What did I just say?
1 if you should.
1 if I should use this again. 2 if I should never use this image of Bern ever again. We're going to go with what the chat says. So now
that's going to go.
Yeah, what are we seeing in the market right now? Bern and I, we are very active real estate agents. We are working with, I mean, honestly, a lot of people from YouTube that find us on YouTube, and they decide to move out to San Diego. They reach out to us, and then we end up searching for homes. So I was out last weekend. I know you were out last weekend. We already started to talk about this a little bit, but let me just start by asking you, what has changed, in your opinion, in the market the last 1 to 2 weeks versus the last 6 months?
Well, I just think a lot of people were on the sidelines the last 4 to 6 months. I think people were kind of waiting to see how the market played out. They're seeing that prices have dipped a little bit, and now they're trying to dip their feet back into the water and see how it's going. I think a lot of people were hoping that there weren't going to be multiple offers starting the new year. Because I know my client was. I was actually shocked that one of them had 7 offers on it. I'm like, 7 offers? Are you kidding? It was only been on market for like 3 days. I'm like, but I mean, they did underprice it, like I said, considerably. I just think some people just still need to move. They're not just going to sit there and wait there forever. And now I think a lot of people know that the interest rates are probably going to be around this number for a little while. And if they do end up dipping, they can refinance in the future, which is what I told people I've been trying to buy an investment property over the next 6 months or so. So I'm hoping I can get something a little undervalued compared to what it was 6 months ago, and then I can always refinance down the line.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Things are changing, and look, we know throughout November, December, demand and inventory drops. That's natural. It's going to happen. Sure. We also know leading up until May is usually around when the inventory and the amount of homes for sale peaks, because a lot of people are moving based on, schools and school timelines. And so usually what we see is it kind of a slow build from the beginning of January until like mid-March is usually when we start to really see a pickup. What it felt like so far, and it's only been really a week and a half of seeing this, but what it feels like is all of a sudden the new year hit and everyone's like, let's go. I'm ready. We're ready. We're confident in this market. We're confident in putting offers in. We don't want to wait on the sidelines anymore. I also think there's this other aspect of it that a lot of homes hit the market this last week. I've seen more homes hit the market in the last week and a half than I've probably seen in the last 2 months. I mean, it's, I don't know have you kind of experienced the same thing?
Yeah,
or not
for
really?
sure. I mean, I remember, like I said, November, December, there was like 3 homes on the market,
Yeah.
at least the areas my clients were looking in. And I do think that if we do get a ton of inventory on the market quickly, then I don't know if the demand is fully there yet compared to what it was in the past. So
For sure.
if we do get a lot of inventory, maybe prices do dip like another 5%. But it's just hard to know because I don't know how much demand there's going to be for the next 6 months. Is this just like an initial surge and then it slows down again? Or is this just the beginning and it's going to be, I mean, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near it was, the last 2 years previous, but is it going to be somewhere in the middle? I'm not entirely sure yet.
Yeah, it's too soon to tell. I can tell you this. I had some buyers this last week that said, Dan, we are concerned. We went to multiple open houses this weekend and they were flooded with buyers. Like we thought we were going to get a deal right now. This is becoming really, really scary. And my advice to them was like, look, kind of the same things that we're saying. For one, more homes have hit the market. For two, more buyers are interested in the market. And for three, I think a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines, a lot of the reason why they haven't bought a home, I have at least 4 or 5 buyers I've been working with for the last 4 months, that the only reason they haven't bought a home is because nothing's popped up. So they see all these things pop up. They're like, ooh, cool. Now we know what we're doing this weekend. We're going to go visit some homes. And who knows how many of them are actually like motivated and ready to buy a house. But we're seeing more activity on both ends. These are good things. These are healthy things to see on both ends because we need more inventory. And of course, a spike in inventory is going to have an immediate reaction on buyers at the same time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were doing kind of the same thing that your buyers, my buyers were doing, kind of waiting for more properties to hit the market for them to choose from. Because a lot of the houses that have been on the market, they might not be the most desirable ones that were sitting through like October through December. And I saw a lot of the ones that have been on the market they just kind of been sitting there for like 60, 90 days. Although if you are looking for a deal, I would try to target one of those properties that has been on the market because there's been a couple off the 56 that I've been kind of eyeing that have been just sitting there for a little bit, or maybe they're just unrealistic sellers too. So maybe they're just shooting too high and, but I wouldn't discount the ones that have been sitting on the market for a while. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. It's still a good time to get an opportunity out there, but it might take a couple shots. Yep. And if there's one property that's a huge standout on your search, then you're probably going to have a harder time securing that than the other properties that have been sitting out on the market for several weeks or several months.
For sure. I agree.
Misha Thompson corrected me. Actually, Microsoft just announced they are going to including it in Bing as far as Chat GPT. So that's really interesting. Go to a search bar and instead of results popping up, then an actual.
And if you're the one person that uses Bing, so maybe that'll be cool too.
Zing. Google came out right after and said they are working on their own. It's one thing to say you're working on it, but I mean, there's so many other AI programs out there that are nowhere near as comprehensive and human sounding as Chat GPT. So I'm sure it will happen. I know Google has the money. If anyone has the money to make it happen,
they got a few dollars, I think. So yeah.
All right. So I think people were liking, they want your face. They just want us to keep showing your face like this.
You guys failed all these ones. You failed me.
The people have spoken. We appreciate you guys.
Ridiculous.
I'm from Cincinnati. What about you, kind gentlemen? Well, this kind gentleman is from Orange County, California. Bernard, why don't you tell us where you're from?
I'm from our finest city, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, actually, originally. But that was many years. I've been lived in Pennsylvania for 20 years or so. Almost 20 years. I graduated in 2004 from Penn State. Moved out to California after that.
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
Tim Macy says we're looking good. Thanks, Tim. We appreciate you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that.
Evan says last question, swear. Evan, keep the questions coming. That's what we're here for. We like to interact with you guys. We don't want to just present. We want to interact and answer your questions live. So keep them coming. Do you have to pay closing costs again when refinancing? The answer is yes. There definitely are closing costs associated with refinancing. If you're going through a lender, there's gonna be lender fees. You're gonna have to go through escrow and you're gonna have to utilize that title company. So there are fees associated with that. If hopefully you refinance, the rates are low enough to where you can just lump up those closing costs in with the purchase, and then you won't have to actually pay anything out of pocket.
Yeah, you can usually roll it into your loan, so you don't have to have the money out of your pocket. Granted, your loan will be higher, but at least you don't have to have the money out of your pocket.
Exactly.
Good question.
All right. So what are the experts saying? What are we seeing? And then what are the top neighborhoods for 2023, which is exactly what we're getting into now. Top neighborhoods and developments for 2023. This is a combined list from Bern and myself. And these are the top 6 neighborhoods that we think are going to appreciate in value in 2024, 2023, whatever year it is. Bern, you want to start us off? Let's start at the bottom with
Sure.
Little Italy.
Little Italy actually took a little bit of a hit over the last. I mean, it didn't go up nearly as much as like a lot of the neighborhoods, like the North County neighborhoods, because people, especially during the pandemic, they, people are trying to get out of the city, not have to be as close together and have a little bit more space. So I think there's going to be a little bit of room for growth downtown, not just specifically Little Italy, but just downtown in general. So I'm expecting. I just even this first month or first week of the year, I've already seen people come out of the woodwork in Little Italy because I was trying to get offers accepted down there. So that's one of them. I think that could be a good spot to check out. Another one to Rancho Penasquitas, which that's where I also live. This neighborhood went up a ton during the pandemic and probably has gone down almost some of the most in all the neighborhoods, especially in North County. They've gone down over 15% plus in the last 6 months. So I also, the ones that go down or up the fastest can also rebound the quickest sometimes too. So I expect that to be a very popular neighborhood in, maybe the second half of 2023 here. So we shall see. And then
what about,
keep going.
What about San Marcos, which was also your pick?
Yeah, San Marcos, I also think went up quite a bit during the pandemic. It's got a lot of new construction up there, which if people are looking for new construction in North County, that's probably that there. And like you said, Oceanside also has some decent new construction as well. But San Marcos has still plenty of new construction because the 56 corridor is pretty much almost sold out of all new construction except for Arlo and over in Poway as well.
So if you are coming in from another area and you want to move to San Diego, as you see, we're kind of spread across the map here. So we aren't picking a bunch of neighborhoods in one spot. This is up from the tip top of San Diego County down to pretty much downtown San Diego and Little Italy. The other neighborhoods that we're talking about on here, you have Oceanside, which if you follow my channel, if you've listened to me, I've talked about a lot. Oceanside, I think, is probably the best value community in San Diego. Definitely the best value coastal community here in San Diego. I was looking at median home prices in different communities today, and I was looking at Oceanside versus Carlsbad, which is the city south of it, versus Encinitas, which is the next coastal city south of that. And you're talking literally a 50% difference, 50% cheaper homes, median price home from Oceanside to Encinitas. Now, there are plenty of factors that are involved with that, but you're going from a $700,000 median price home to a $1.4 million median price home is a pretty significant difference. And I think historically, Oceanside wasn't known as the best place to live, but as we're seeing a lot of these new developments, I mean, it's made a huge come around, and there's so much more opportunity in the future.
Yeah, even compared to like 5 years ago, Oceanside was not as nice, but they've done a lot, especially with the downtown area.
Yeah,
they've redeveloped a lot of that area down there, and it's become quite nice over there now. So,
and let's see here.
The schools aren't as highly rated as some of the other areas in North County, which is the one thing that's kind of holds it back. But over time, I'm guessing that will change as well. So we'll see.
That's definitely one of the biggest critiques you get about the area. But if you look at the ratings, they're not bad. Like they aren't what I think a lot of people would call bad. It's just not as highly rated as a lot of the other coastal communities.
Yep. Agreed.
The other places on here, RB stands for Rancho Bernardo. This is where the new Apple campus is located. There's a lot of tech companies coming into this area. There's still a lot of affordability. So a lot of Rancho Bernardo is from like the 1980s, 1970s, and 1980s. So what's interesting is it's a lot of homes that, there's still a lot of homes that kind of need to be completely redone or updated. And so I think we're going to start to see a revitalization in these communities, along with the tech companies that are coming down, the Apples and the Amazons that are coming into the area. We're just going to see it continue to increase in value. And then finally, I think Mira Mesa is another one. If you look at the long-term projection of Mira Mesa or the change in the city plan that they're talking about, they want to turn Mira Mesa into basically like a big Little Italy. They want it to have mixed use. They want it to be extremely walkable. They want to get rid of a lot of these big shopping centers because they're just not popular like they used to be 15, 20 years ago.
Mira
So
Mesa has a ton of those strip mall shopping centers.
it does.
Like a ton.
It does. And so there's so much opportunity there. Now, are we going to see it at its fullest potential at the end of this year? No, absolutely not. We're talking like a 15, 20, 30-year change. That it's going to take that long for that to change, because we need to see these new developments and these new mixed use properties, new zoning come in, and that takes time. But at the same time, for people that are looking for single family homes that are nice homes in nice in what you would call a nice neighborhood, you can absolutely find that in Mira Mesa for a lot more affordable rate than a lot of the neighboring communities. So I think there's a lot of value now and a ton of future potential when you're looking far ahead 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years.
They also have to like fix the traffic there in Mira Mesa, because it's like one stretch of road there that it's very long, from the 15 to the 5 basically, and you can take you a good 25 minutes to get through that sometimes.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the challenges there. And I think a lot of that has to do with all the strip malls that are over there as well,
Yeah.
because they have these big stores. So I don't know how that's going to change or how long before that changes, but there's so much opportunity.
There is a drive-through Shake Shack coming to Mira Mesa very soon, actually. In case
We'll
you're
see. If
interested.
nothing else, that's reason in itself to
There
move
you
to
go.
Mira Mesa.
Everything revolves around food for me. It's in some shape.
All right, we're going to get to a couple more questions here. Drop them in. Mike Dunn is saying, just moved here. Thanks a lot for your content. I'm grinding out the mud, maybe looking to buy in a year or so. Come see me at Orange Theory. Mike, which
Okay.
Orange Theory? Let us know, and we'll definitely come check it out. My wife Steph has.
I just started going to F45 this week, or no, last week.
Cool.
And it's very painful. So
now is Orange Theory like F45? They're very similar,
I
right?
mean,
Like,
I think I've never been to Orange Theory, but I think it's kind of like it. So
okay. So Orange Theory, Mike, let us know where you're at. We'll come check you out. Let's see. So huge opportunity coming to San Diego in the coming years for sure. Yeah, all throughout San Diego. But if you look at these specific neighborhoods, there are some really cool things coming. And Felix Cat says Mira Mesa has a traffic problem. I think
agree with you,
agrees
Felix.
with you, Bern.
I agree with that.
Now let's talk about the best new developments that we think are coming to San Diego in this coming year. So there are 3 that we put on here. There are probably some, notable mentions that we could say as well. I think these top 2 are definitely the top 2, because they're the 2 I came up with, and then I asked you to give me 2, and they were the same 2 that you came up with. So
really? Okay,
yeah,
right.
they're the same 2 that I came up with. I'm so excited for these. One is Cadence and Oceanside. This is by KB Homes. It's 50 single family homes. I don't know exactly where they're at in the process, but I have to imagine they're not going to last long. They're 3 miles away from Camp Pendleton. They're 5 miles away from the beach. They're in a nice, quiet neighborhood. And I think the homes are starting at basically 800,000. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, around there.
So single family homes in an up and coming neighborhood, coastal community, not too far from the coast for $800,000, I think is a great value. The second one is, in my backyard, Fox Point Farms in Encinitas. I think this should win the award for the coolest new community that's coming. This is 250 units, and I always have to look and see what they're calling these. So 250 units. This is going to be from Shea Homes, and the units are calling cottages, flats, carriages, and townhomes. So they don't want to go with the traditional, traditional verbiage of condos.
What are those starting at? I forget what those ones are starting at price-wise.
So essentially the cottages are the single family homes. They're starting at 1.4 ish, probably closer to 1.5.
I know it's not cheap. It's not bad for Encinitas. So
but get this, the flats are starting in the 700,000s, or at least that's what they're saying now. So right now it's they're grading the land. So not much has happened over there yet, but look, we're just talking about the difference in median home price of Oceanside and Encinitas. Fox Point Farms, we're talking, is, I don't know, a mile and a half from the ocean in one of the most coveted beach communities in all of San Diego. And to be able to get in a brand new home for in the $700,000 in that location, to me is mind blowing.
I imagine that's going to be a very popular destination over there.
I imagine it's going to be very popular as well. The other really unique things about this this complex is it's going to be 250 total units. There is going to be a 2.5 acre farm in the middle of the complex. And then there's going to be a farm to table restaurant on the property. It's also going to be LEED Gold certified. And I mean, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful community.
It almost sounds identical to the place called the Farm in Poway, because they're supposed to have like a farm and then like a farm to table, a couple farm to table restaurants inside it. So very similar. And they call it cottages or carriages as well too. So
now that's
a little farther from the ocean, but you know.
Now that's Lennar, is that correct?
That's Lennar, and they are currently for sale. They actually just dropped the prices. Actually, if we talk about new construction, Lennar has cut prices at the Farm in Poway in this past week, as well as Arlo at Merge 56. So if you're looking for new construction, they dropped them like a good 75 to 100 grand, I think, on some of them.
75 to 100 grand. That's that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that.
Big drop.
So, and then the last one, Bern, why don't you tell us about this last one?
Oh, junipers in Rancho Penasquita. So if we have any older couples here looking for a property for a 55 plus community, there's a place called Junipers, which is also by Lennar. It's currently being graded right now, so there's nothing actually for sale. I think they do have a website for it, but there's not much pricing on it. I'm guessing prices will be 900,000 or so, depending on the size of the property. So if you're looking for a 55 plus community, I would check out Junipers, but it might be another 3 to 6 months down the road. So,
and any word on what the HOA is going to be? Because that can usually be pretty hefty when it comes to 55 plus.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The amenities.
There's not much information on there yet, so it's coming though.
Okay. All right. So I think we went through all the topics here. What are the experts saying? What are we seeing? What are the top neighborhoods for 2023? Bern, we did pretty good. We have a couple more minutes here for questions. Drop them in the chat before we go today. And even if you're watching this recording, you can drop some questions in the comment section down below. Bern and or myself, we will respond to you. I promise.
Yes, we will.
All right. We have Mike Dunn here. He is saying that... So he's all over the place with Orange Theory.
Okay. Delster is my backyard pretty much. So right down the road.
Mission Valley. Thanks for the shout out and keep up the good work. You got it, man. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate that. All right. Pretty light on questions today. That's okay. Let us know, you guys. Was this helpful? Hopefully you like my new slides here. I got to get a little bit better at
very, very bold and colorful. I like it.
Got to get a little bit better at this though. Like we're just kind of all over the place here. I don't want people's heads to spin, but hopefully this was helpful for you guys. We really like to know what topics you guys like us to cover. Do you like us to talk about the real estate market? Do you like us to talk about neighborhoods? The more info we get from you, the better we can kind of critique and focus on what you're looking for. So we love to provide value.
Dan, one last thing. If you want to run this through, the chat GPT is up and running. If you wanted to run that question through it.
Oh, that's good. What was the question there?
So how will AI change the real estate industry and investing in the next coming years? I just typed it in. Do you want me to just read it off? Yeah. Artificial intelligence is expected to have a significant impact on the real estate industry in the coming years. There are several ways in which AI can be used in real estate, including property valuations. AI algorithms can analyze data on the past property sales, economic conditions, and other factors to predict the value of a piece of real estate. Marketing and lead generation, automation of repetitive tasks, and predictive analytics. So one thing I will say about this is the property evaluations. I mean, people have already tried to use this with the iBuyer programs with Open Door and Redfin, and they are pretty much all out of business right now as far as the iBuyer. So just take that for a grain of salt when people say they can type it into an algorithm and tell you what your house is worth. So,
this reminds me of, I wish I remember where that quote is from, but they're talking about technology and they're talking about how quickly you can go from like zero knowledge in a new topic to like 98% of the way there. But the most challenging part that a lot of people fail at is that last 2%. And, perfect example, we're talking about algorithms for home values. We're talking about self-driving cars. What happened to self-driving cars, you guys? We were so close. I thought Tesla was there. I know that there are some out there, but like it's really, really hard to get to that last 2%. And I think it's going to be the same way with a lot of this AI stuff. Now, Bern, I use on my website, if you go to my website right now, well, shameless plug here. If you go to my website right now, then you can see I actually have a chat AI on my website. So if you go to bestlifehometeam.com, there's my little face in the bottom corner. It's Dan Bot. He will have a conversation with you. He will ask what type of homes you like, what type of neighborhood you're in. And he can actually set you up on a search. He can schedule an appointment with me. So it's very fun. It's very cool, but it's, again, it's like maybe 80% of the way there. I would never try and lie and say that it's a real person, because it's obvious that it's not a real person.
For sure. Yeah.
So Bern, how can they get a hold of you?
You can always find me on my YouTube channel, which Dan showed earlier, or you can go to livinginsandiego.com, bernmcgovern.com, or find me on Instagram at Bern McGovern.
And we are going to use this face of yours over and over again, mostly just because I'm lazy and I don't want to make a new thumbnail with your face.
Well, when I have you on my channel, Dan, just wait and see. All right.
And of course, if you ever want to reach out to me, here's my information. I have it below with a couple other free resources as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Bern, thanks for being here tonight. And hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Let's do it soon, for sure.
All right, man.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Bye.